May 20th edition of Back Roads of Illinois. We were Central Illinois agriculture source, and in the Midwest alongside in Central Illinois agriculture, we're glad you're here. I will be out of this week because my sister is graduating from middle school. Yeah, I know that you were saying, Caesar, how are you going to be out for this week because of your sister's graduation from middle school? But I've been working hard since January and I got to enjoy for myself. Otherwise, I loved my career in farm broadcasting, so yeah, just take time off from the Daily Show. Reminder. There are no other Markets Club podcasts for this Wednesday until next week. This week is having a discussion with lawmakers might be worked on the Farm Bill and SNAP program, CPR program, Title 1 for this week in Washington, D.C. I hope things are working out for this week between the Republicans and Democrats as well. Okay, we were going to talk with Alan Brugel from Brugel Marketing in Omaha. I am looking forward to talking with Alan about commodities markets and watch the weather in the Midwest. Okay, this is your agricultural news and markets update on Back Roads of Illinois. The corn complex has fallen apart on the trade on Friday's close because the weather and demand for export from China. The soybean markets was pretty good for Friday's close. There is going to have heavy rain again in the Midwest for this week, but unfortunately won't get some planting done for the farmers with these markets and cash market. I think that we need some more general information about this planting season or a tariff from China by the President Joe Biden. Wheat tour in Kansas and Nebraska from last week. The wheat yields are 36 bushel per acre in Kansas. Russia has a freezing cold snap for this week, and the wheat markets was mixed bag for last week. This is your commodity markets update. Corn futures finished in up 2 to 4 cents. Soybean futures finished in up 2 to 3 cents. Wheat futures finished in up 8 to 9 cents. Now that we were going to talk about the livestock market for today on this morning. Cattle futures finished in up 2 to 3 cents per weight. Feeder cattle finished in up 2 to 3 cents higher. Lean hogs finished in down 7 to 8 cents per weight. We were coming back with our guest Alan Brugel from Brugel Marketing. Coming up next. Welcome back to Back Roads of Illinois with Alan Brugel from Brugel Marketing and Management. Welcome to the show. How are you, Alan? And welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm pleased to be here. I had a family vacation last week, and now we're back at work, and we got a nice rally in the grains today. So all is well with the world.
Let's start with our conversation about the planting progress in Nebraska and Dakotas with the weather models in Central Plains. Could you tell our listeners?
We just received the USDA planting progress for this past week. Nationally, we're 70% complete. The long-term average for this week would have been 61%. but we are behind last year when we had 76% of the U.S. crop. Here in Nebraska, we're normally, or excuse me, last year we would have been 84% done. This year we're only 79% done, so slightly behind average, but we did gain quite a bit because a week ago we were only 55% done with corn. If you look at Minnesota, they're an area that's going to get quite a bit of water this coming week. They are 81% planted with corn, so they're actually ahead of average and can tolerate a little bit of disruption. South Dakota, as of this afternoon, 66% planted on corn. The long-term average is 59%, so they are slightly ahead of normal. If we look over at soybeans, they are, as of tonight, or as of Sunday, actually, 37% planted. They would typically be 40. So they are slightly behind. And again, they're going to see some fairly heavy rain in the eastern part of the state over the next 7 days that will make it difficult to get ahead of average pace.
Alan, how is the corn complex is going to be in the weather premium markets? Could you explain to our listeners about the weather premium for right now?
We believe that corn prices have a weather premium of about 20 to 30 cents per bushel. And that's based on the little bit slow planting progress. Again, with today's data, we're very close to the long-term average, even though we're behind a year ago. I come by that number by saying that the USDA's cash average price forecast for next year is $4.40 per bushel, and we're trading 30 cents or more above that right now for new crop futures. So we are building in some summer weather premium. I think that's you can assume either slightly lower corn acreage in June than what we had in the March intentions, or that we're building in an average national average yield that's less than 181 bushel per acre that USDA used in their May forecast. So we definitely have a weather premium in here, but I do want to remind the listeners that this is not a big premium. We could easily see a 75-cent premium if the market is more concerned about the weather going forward than it is today. This is normal to build in some risk premium, but it's not an unusually large amount.
The markets are up for today. Last week was mixed bag.
Yes, we actually saw quite a bit of selling in the corn last week. Net for the week, I think we were down double digits for both old crop July and new crop December. We got some of that back today, and had a really impressive rally in wheat today. But of course, that's not of interest to a lot of your Illinois folks. But we were up 30 plus cents in wheat for much of the day today due to concerns about frost in Russia hurting the wheat crop there, lower export estimates for Russia, and a little bit of uncertainty about Iran.
We are going to be seeing a losing beans acreage in the acreage report on June 30th alongside in the Midwest. What is your thoughts about it?
I'm not really convinced that we're going to lose soybean acreage on that June 28th report. USDA's planting intentions report had about 4 million acres missing. There were over 8 million acres of what we call principal crop acres that were not picked up in that report. Typically, prevented plant would be about 3 to 4 million in a normal year. So I'm thinking there's potential for some more soybean acres to show up in this June 28th report. Soybeans are also rallying right now, trying to attract some acreage due to the flooding damage in southern Brazil and losing a couple million tons of soybeans down there.
It's been not so good for yields for a couple of months with the beans in Brazil since December.
Yes, that is correct. We have lost quite a bit off of the initial production forecasts for Brazil. There were some initial dryness problems in the main growing area up in Mato Grosso. Then you had this flooding in the south at the end. But yeah, we dropped from soybean production estimates for as high as 160 million tons to something more like 152 million tons, or maybe even 151, depending on final harvest. I noticed that Rio Grande do Sul, which is where the flooding has been occurring, is now 85% harvested on soybeans. So there are only a few fields that are still being affected by the weather right now. But there were some storage facilities that were also flooded, and we lost some production that way.
Is there anything would you like to go to be telling our listeners about the livestock markets in today's market?
Well, I think the central theme in the cattle market is the cattle cycle, and we are still in the liquidation phase. I think we're seeing a slowdown in cow slaughter now. Most of the cow-calf operators have reduced their herds as far as they want to. We are seeing better pasture condition ratings, which suggest that we might start to retain some more heifers and some more cows, and that would start to turn the cycle. The thing that is really intriguing to me regarding the turn of the cattle cycle is that if we start to send the heifers to the feedlot or to the pasture instead of feedlots, then that tightens up the supply of feeder cattle tremendously. And the question to me economically is, if we are tight on beef supplies for the next 2 years due to fewer cattle, will the consumer be able to pay up for that beef, or will they have to switch to cheaper meats like chicken? Some forecasts are calling for stagflation or other types of economic slowdowns next year. So it's not a certainty that the consumer will pay for higher beef prices if they in fact occur.
Cattle expansion in the middle of rebuild, and the bird flu from last weeks ago by bringing the markets our black swan event.
The I think the cattle cycle is not a black swan event. The HPAI and the influenza issues that we had in the dairy cows, that was a black swan event. That was definitely not to be anticipated. It has not at this point shown up in the beef. It has resulted in some limited loss of milk production. And actually, I saw class 3 milk is over $18 a hundredweight. My family owns a dairy farm, so that's a good thing. We'd like it to see it go higher. But the cattle cycle has been in place in the United States for more than 200 years. It continues to repeat itself.
Do you have any final thoughts on these markets in today's close?
Again, I like today's close. I thought that was very positive to see us. We were fairly weak on Friday. The funds didn't want to chase the market. They did bid it up today. You had soybeans up 20 cents. You had corn up 8. You had these are all old crop. You had your July wheat up 37.5 in Chicago. feeder cattle are going to be down typically if corn is up, and that was the case today. But the live cattle, the June cattle, were up 42 cents. So this was a risk on day. This was a buy commodities day, and I think given where we are in late May with some weather concerns, this is positive price action, and we want to be aware that it can stop at any time, but we do think we have some short-term uptrends in place here.
Thanks, Alan.
It's been my pleasure. Wishing the best for everyone.
This is Alan Brugel from Brugel Marketing and Management in Omaha, Nebraska. We were coming back with our last segment on back roads of Illinois. Thanks, Alan Brugel from Brugel Marketing. Well, folks, there are a show on back roads of Illinois. You can catch up with past episodes or interviews for this program ahead to Back Roads of Illinois on YouTube and Amazon. For Back Roads of Illinois, I am Cesar Delgado. Have a good week.